is Spencer Thomas. Spencer is a junior at NYU CAS College of Arts and Science, studying English on the creative writing track with multiple minors in film production, creative writing, and journalism. That's impressive. Spencer is the creator of By Spencer Thomas, which is an account dedicated towards creative writing, lifestyle content, and LGBTQ+ inclusivity. And it has a combined following of over 260,000 people, which is insane. Hopefully a couple hundred more after this event. His debut book will be released early next year. So let's welcome our final speaker of the night, Spencer Thomas.
It is an honor to be here. In 3rd grade, on my 9th birthday, I smashed my head into a doorway. I was leaning down, and when I stood up, bang, smashed my head. I tried to tell my teacher what had happened, but I couldn't. My speech abilities had gotten the best of me. My words became one. My A's, E's, R's, W's, and every letter in between was a challenge to say aloud. Eventually, my teacher pieced together what I was saying. Later that day, we were tasked with writing in our journals. Because I struggled to speak, I found myself writing. I wrote down a story similar to my own. A boy who on his 9th birthday also smashed his head and ended up with a bump the size of a soccer ball. This was the first time I felt powerful. This was the first time in my life when I was finally able to communicate. My words did not blur into one, but they actually made sense. As I grew up, I found myself writing more stories. But out of all the stories I wrote, I constantly found that I wrote about myself through the same cast of varying characters. They were tales of adolescence, stories of boyhood. Except, in my life, out of all these stories I wrote, these boys did not fit in and were okay with not fitting in. While I struggled with confidence, the boys I wrote about loved themselves. They were perfect versions of myself, the versions of myself I one day wished I could become. I dreamed of actually having my own story. But as I grew up, that did not become my reality. I spent my freshman year wandering through my life, aimlessly navigating, unsure of who I was to become. I was desperate to find answers. So in turn, I looked inwards towards my writing, and I asked myself questions. Where do I belong in this world? As I transitioned into my sophomore year of high school, I confronted these questions head on. My writing told me I would never find friends, success, or happiness if I stayed in the same place. My writing told me that sometimes running away and starting fresh can become the bravest decision of them all. So, that's exactly what I did. I turned towards online school before online school was a thing, before the ages of Zoom calls and COVID and the pandemic. I spent my sophomore year of high school doing online school, where I advanced at my own pace, taking advanced writing classes, and began to fully dedicate my time towards creative writing. Teaching myself, I worked through the struggles of AP English while balancing equations for chemistry. That year, I spent my time working at a cubicle at my mom's office, a hospice center in Connecticut. I spent my 16th birthday trying to find a whole different world than I was used to. And while for the first time I felt accepted, I also felt so lonely. I am a teenager. Shouldn't I be living my life as a teenager? I finished the year at the hospice center, where I strolled through the hallways, where patients said goodbye to their loved ones, and I knew it was time to return to school. For my junior year of high school, I transferred to a Catholic high school, a fresh start, and my hopes of making new friends. At the same time, I had my aha moment. I'm gay. Shocker. But of all places to be gay, here's a piece of advice. Catholic school, it's It's not one of them. So, I decided to play the role of a silent observer. Despite playing this role, although not very well, my secret soon became public knowledge. I was outed, and the life I found in the closet would never be the same. At the time, I was so angry. My power was taken from me. I was desperate for an outlet, a way to find my voice once again. And while Catholic school, for the first time, led to new friendships, it also presented a lack of acceptance. I needed a place where I could be myself for who I am and for what I stood for. And there was an unforeseeable factor in that year: social media. TikTok was just starting to grow, and the world was looking for a new place to watch content, a new place to find others like themselves online. Being outed at a Catholic high school was all the more reason I was going to reclaim my voice online through video content. So, in November 2019, I posted my first TikTok. And while I look back and cringe, it was the best decision I could have ever made. It was the start of everything. It was the start of finding a true community. Over the past 3 years, I watched my follower count grow, eventually leading it over to 200,000. While I'm incredibly thankful for this support, what matters to me most is community and relatability. During the pandemic, I held Zoom calls weekly with my followers where anyone could talk about what was on their mind. We talked about love, life, relationships, and who we wanted to become when we were adults. We sent each other letters in the mail and even exchanged Christmas gifts. I told them about my own stories and my own struggles, and how despite this, we have each other. Community can be thicker than blood. Support from one person to another can change everything. All the while, I continued to write. The stories I heard across the world became part of my own, and I wrote about these hardships. I wrote about two parents learning to re-love their child in the wake of their coming out. I wrote about my friends, terrified and excited, as they finally were living their lives as themselves. I even wrote about myself and how for the first time I had felt seen. Through the past 3 years, it was this community, social media, that healed me. Eventually, the pain of being outed wasn't so painful anymore. My message to all of you is simple. Do not let others take away your power. Our decisions and the ways we react can take the worst of the world and turn it into something great. The boy who outed me became a source of reclamation. I did not let him tear me down, and instead, I found a community that fully supported me. I created a platform where other people like myself had a place to express themselves. From growing up with the inability to speak properly, to having my story told before I was ready, it was writing and social media that helped me triumph. This past summer, I began a new journey. I started to share my writing online. The first short story I shared, Boy, yes, that's what it's called, Boy. So original. That's what it's called. That was the first story I shared on social media, and it changed everything. I continued to share other stories while I wrote more. And now, my platform is very different from where I once started. I'm a writer across social media, pursuing my dreams, all of which stemmed from the quick decision to reclaim what was once taken from me. In 3 weeks, it will be my birthday, and I'll be 21 years old. 21, guys. It's a big deal. I'm very excited. On that day, I will be announcing my debut book, Goodbye to Boyhood, a collection of short stories about the tales of adolescence. These 10 short stories are the accumulation of what I've learned through my childhood. These are stories of acceptance, of conformity, of love and loss, and are written for my audience. I would not be who I am today without the struggles I've faced. But on a deeper level, this book would not exist if it weren't for my struggles. My speech disabilities led to me writing. My struggles with my sexuality have now become stories in my debut book. pain. Take what has hurt you. Take everything you know and use it as a way to find your power, as a way to find yourself. That is the greatest gift we have, and in the end, we can all reclaim what was once taken from us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spencer. That was really inspiring, incredible talk. So I just want to shout out all the speakers. You know, you all did an incredible job tonight and really just left all of us feeling so uplifted and inspired. And, you know, it takes a lot to get up here and speak in front of everyone. You know, I get this little cheat sheet, but you guys memorized that thing from scratch. Like, so impressive. But yeah, one thing I always like to share about TEDx events is that hearing people talk about their passions and like sitting there and really feeling it leaves you just on this high on life, and you just feel so excited to move forward and motivated to do something or change something in your life. And I just think, you know, I hope you all leave today feeling this and really enjoying it. And I hope to see you all at our next event. It's an open mic night, so anyone can take a shot at the mic and say a talk, say a poem, do whatever you want. But yeah, I'm really grateful to have you all here, and shout out to our amazing presidents and the rest of our committees. So before you all head out, please, you know, we still have some food, there's some cupcakes, and if you want to talk to anyone from TEDxNYU or any of the speakers, we'll be around. But thank you so much for being here.